Recording started.
Talk shoes.
Recorded live.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you may be across the nation or around the world. Once again, you are listening to the VMware Communities Roundtable podcast. This is podcast number 638. My name is Eric Nielsen, and with me today, I have my favorite co-host, Corey Romero. Today is Wednesday, March 15th, 2023. Corey Romero, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, Eric. Doing well. Weather in Utah has now turned to rain, and the temperatures have come up. So my 7 to 9 foot walls of snow in my front yard are shrinking.
I read that you need, I think, 5 inches of rain to melt 1 foot of solid snow. I don't believe that. I think the temperature is actually more important than the rain, but rain doesn't do everything. So
yeah, no, it doesn't. It really depends on temperature. If you got the temperatures up, then it absolutely accelerates things.
Yes, absolutely. Well, on the show today, we're going to be talking to Wouter Kursten. He is a great guy, comes on the podcast a lot. We're going to be talking about the Golden Image Deployment Tool. So the Horizon Golden Image Tool is the subject for today. We've got Wouter on the call, but before we do that, we'll just do a little bit of news. Corey, I know the call for papers are finishing up, so I know that's in the news. So if you're going to go to VMworld, you want to get your papers in. I think now's the idea. I think it closes in the next couple, maybe another week or so, somewhere on the 20th of this week, this month, March 20th or 24th, something like that. Call for papers will close, so get your calls in. I know that Kripa and others are out there, and they have done some paper submissions. This year it's more traditional of just submit your papers and maybe you'll get paper selected. So that's good. Just to remember, it is time to start doing your travel planning. It's Vegas this year, August 21st to the 24th in the US, the Venetian, and then explore Barcelona, November 6th to the 9th. So from a Vegas perspective, if you want to stay in a nice hotel, you might want to get your planning in. So do your papers, you never know, and then get some planning in. Again, hotel rooms in the Excalibur are like $35 a night. So come hang out with us in Vegas. Buy yourself a cheap Southwest ticket from wherever you are and come hang out with us in Vegas. We're going to be there. We're going to have a community village. The village is confirmed. We're going to have the V Brown Bag sessions as always. So Alistair is getting ready to get the call for papers out for community papers. We're going to this year also have VMware Vanguard in the village, along with VMUG will participate in the village. So it'll be a big community love fest. So excited about both US and Europe. From a community perspective, we're going to be there and everybody is excited. Even the event team is excited to make all this happen. I did get a budget approved for the Code Labs, Code Theater. That's all happening. The one that's still out, I did a proposal for funding for the hackathon. So we're going to see if Laura Heisman, our CMO, will actually cut some budget for a hackathon this year. We skipped it in last year, 2022, but we're hoping to do it again this year. And we have asked for budget, and a couple of the code coaches have come and asked to help organize the hackathon. So even if they say no to the budget, I'm sure we'll scrape and claw something together. So my guess is we'll do a hackathon. We'll have Code Labs. We'll have V Brown Bag. We'll have VMUG, part of the village this year. So from a community perspective, gotta love it. Corey, I don't know if anything's going on with vExperts, but thought I'd pass the baton to you for a second.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've got a couple of things. So as everyone knows, or most people know, we did announce the 2023 vExpert program. Along with that, if you're a vExpert, you can apply for a sub-program. This year, we've got 9 sub-programs, and if you're interested, just log into vExpert and click sub-programs, and you can apply from there. Now, again, you do have to be a vExpert to do that, because if you are doing the work for a sub-program, that means you're doing the work for vExpert Award. I also did do a 2-hour deep dive session on the vExpert application process. And so I did a video slide presentation on what it takes to submit a winning application, as well as what to leave out of your application, how we vote, That will be released publicly soon. I will put that up on the blogs.vmware.com/vExpert. That went really, really well. It was really informative and great feedback and great session. If you are a vExpert, licenses are in your Customer Connect account. And tomorrow we have a webinar with AWS, and it is VMware Cloud on AWS Technical Deep Dive. So we're going to do that tomorrow morning.
So I gotta comment, Corey, because I wanted to go get my vSphere 8 license and I wanted to get my new Fusion 13 license. And so I went over to my Customer Connect account, right? And they have a license tab there. And I go into my license tab and all I've got is like a Fusion 5 license that I got forever ago, right? And that's all that's showing there. So I had to actually call you and you had to walk me through how to go find your licenses. And I discovered, I should write a blog on this, right? I discovered that one, you can go to the vExpert portal, even though you're saying the licenses are in the Customer Connect, which they technically are. If you want to go look at them, just go to your vExpert portal, click on the license tab, and then you have links for everything, right, that are there. When you click, the licenses look like they're in the vExpert portal, but they're actually over in Customer Connect. So the easiest way to find your licenses is just to go to the vExpert portal and click on the licenses tab and get your licenses, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That way, and in the email as well, the direct link to downloads and licenses are in there too. But there's so many emails that have gone out, it's easy to miss. But yes, Eric, that is the best way to do it, is just go right to the portal. And
the licenses are in your vExpert portal, right? Yeah. Even though they're not, they're over in, and you guys iframe it so pretty that I didn't even notice that I was going somewhere else. But that's what I say, because if you go into your Customer Connect portal, there's a license tab. That's not where they're staying. They're like in some embedded section that you can get to, but you got to go over, click 3 dots, get a drop-down menu, click on something. It was hard to find them if I went into Customer Connect. Best idea is just go into
you need to go to the evaluations and then the custom evaluations. That's where you get them.
Yeah. It was like it wasn't the licenses, it was in evals under evals, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
evaluation. Right, exactly. Yeah, it is a little funky. Yeah, for sure.
But no, it was simply easy. As soon as I just went to the vExpert app, went into my account, and then clicked on licenses, then they were all there. So I would just start saying, go to your vExpert app. The licenses are there. Right?
Oh, for me, it's opening in a new tab. It's still bringing me to the evaluations. And then it says current evaluations. That's empty. Go to the most right tab, custom evaluations, and you got them.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. Anyway, I'm probably the only idiot in the whole world that needed to do it.
You're not the first one.
I've had a lot of email on it, so yeah. Even
because we keep saying, if they're in Customer Connect, they're in Customer Connect. So whenever Customer Connect, click on my license tab, but I didn't have any licenses, and I'm like,
yeah, there's special licenses.
It's in the eval section over there, which is fine.
Yep,
I got that. But, and then if you're logged out of Customer Connect, good luck. Expired evaluations, custom evaluations. So they are, and you do have to log into Customer to Connect to get there, but it definitely is an eval, which isn't necessarily easy to find. So anyway, cool.
No, you have to know it. It's,
Which is okay because you're a vExpert. So, in a real sense, good luck.
Yeah, and it's in mail and everyone asks in Slack or emails me. So it gets around.
It's a little bit of Fight Club, I guess.
Yeah. We'll call it License Club.
Yeah, License Club there. But they're all there. And then I would say that the no more vSphere 6.5 licenses.
No.
Right? So for all you people that are on old hardware that can't get that haven't upgraded yet, you're gonna expire out. And I ran into that. So be aware if you haven't.
Yeah, there are some checkboxes or things that you can set to run on all the CPUs, because that's quite often the issue, unless you need special drivers.
Oh, interesting. That's interesting to know. Yeah, I didn't know that.
There on William Lamb's blog, you can search for it. There's a legacy CPU thing that you can configure somewhere. So it will actually start on all the CPUs, but then drivers for HBAs and things like that might get challenging.
Yeah, I think William Lamb did a blog post on that, didn't he? When 7.5 or sub 7 came out.
Yeah, with 7 he already did that, because there was change in the CPUs already, and so there's a legacy CPU. You have to at boot. You have to configure something. I haven't need to do it. Mine were just on the edge of still working.
Yeah. So there you go. I cheated. as usual. I know the senior director of license management. And I sent a mail going, "Help me! Can you give me 5?"
He should have
He
just
said
said
me,
no.
"Get your VP to send me mail." I was like, oh,
I
congrats.
know someone that runs HP Generation 8 hardware that's like 10, 11 years old, something. It still runs vSphere 8 if you want.
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. The legacy option, I could have, if I'd known that, I would have done that. Right. Which is cool. All right, well, on with the show. Anything else for vExpert, Corey, or are we
That's
good
it.
to go?
That's it. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah, perfect.
you.
Well, we'll talk to you later, Corey. So, Wouter, first thing off, welcome to the show. We always will start with, you've been on so many times now that most people that listen to this probably know of you already, but we'll do the 2-minute elevator pitch. How long you been running in the VMware ecosystem, and what do you do for a living these days?
Yeah, so I'm Wouter. I've been in the VMware ecosystem. My first certification was VI3, I believe, 2.5 somewhere. So ESX3, essentially that. And I've been a vExpert since 2016.
Nice.
So I've been here for a while. Yeah, having fun.
Yeah. And it looks like are you in the same office you've always been in? It looks like something's changed in your background.
I'm in the same office, but I completely redecorated my background. So I removed the TV and I got some Legos up there. I got my record player there. I was actually spinning some Queen there before we started this. So
nice. Yeah, I was thinking about getting a turntable again too, just to hear the scratches. Hear the.
I saw this week that the sales in vinyl is more than CDs for the first time since like 1986 or something.
That's awesome. And I turned 60 this year. I shouldn't talk about my age too much, but I'm still a kid at heart. I'm still totally geeky, right? I got pinball machines. I got, Atari cabinets. I got 3 different cabinets now. And I'm realizing that as I get older, they say you go backwards until you become a baby. And I'm seeing myself go through all my 20s and 19s and 18s toys. Right now I'm going to get I think the vinyl records, I was like 12 years old when I had vinyl players, and I'm going to probably die with all of the stuff that I had as a kid, right? Because you start to do that. You got all the high tech, you got all the gear, but you also fill yourself with all those kid memories and the things that you enjoyed as a teen, and the records, with that kind of thing is one of those things you got. All right. I see a Ghostbusters thing in your background too. Yep. If people want to see what Wouter looks like or his office, you can go to youtube.com/vbarbecue, and we live stream all of the shows over there as well. So you've been a vExpert, you do that. What do you do for a living?
So I work for Control Up as a professional service engineer. So I install our product, do customizations, a lot of VMware customers. So
nice.
A lot of Horizon things in there as well. So it's a cool job. Yeah.
All right. Well, good. So on the show today, the topic is, what is the topic today? Horizon Golden Image Deployment. You did a blog, so we should do a shout out to your blog, which I guess we will just go Google that. Let me see if I can get the
Retouw.nl. It's my first name, but spelled backwards with the O and the U in the regular order.
Yeah. So if you want to go see his blog, it's pretty easy URL. It's www.retouw.nl, which is Wouter spelled backwards, or Wouter spelled backwards, and then HGID, Horizon Golden Image Deployment, HGID tool, TOOL. And that's URL. You can go check out the blog.
Right. Yeah, if you just go to the NL page, that new blog is on the top of the page, and it's actually a tool that I've been working on for several months. I put out a question in the vExpert and on the Twitter. Would people like to have a tool to easier be able to deploy a new golden image to Horizon pools? Because right now you can have multiple pods, and each pod can have multiple desktop pools, and you have to 10 or 12 clicks just to deploy a new golden image to a pool. And I've been blogging and creating things with the Horizon APIs for years now, because that started my vExpert career. And I was like, why not create a tool to do that for them?
Right. And I think the last time you were on the podcast, we talked about the APIs and we talked about the
Yep.
work that you're doing. I should go look up what the podcast number was so people can go listen to that one if they want, which I will do while we're talking. And you're doing these projects regularly, right? Regularly enough, time permitting. And I think we asked, like, what are you going to do next, or how do you figure out what you want to do and how much time you get to work on it? So this is your latest incarnation, which
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I this one I started back in December, and I've put like 80 hours, something like that, in it, and it will keep evolving. I already got some good feedback on Reddit, on Twitter about things that I can change, so it will keep evolving. So people need to keep up. But I even find it really useful because I don't want to do those 20 clicks to deploy a new golden image, and now it's like 3 clicks, and I can do it.
Yeah. Nice. And just so people, if you want to go listen, it was 554, podcast number 554, which oddly enough, that was a lot of podcasts ago. I'm wondering if I'm missing one, but
There should be one in between, because there was
Yeah.
one about the regular with PowerShell and one with Python, and
I was going to say I must have misspelled. I'll have to use grep a little bit differently here to find the number, because I know you were on before that. So
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll get a latest number. So projects are going on. This one, what did you write it in?
It's actually PowerShell.
Okay, my favorite.
I to be honest, it's the only one where I was comfortable creating a GUI in. I want to make it into Python or something, because that's just faster with API calls. And some things block PowerShell, but yeah, it's PowerShell. I've created it using the Windows Presentation Framework, and it's using all kinds of API calls to Horizon. It does logging, so if you want to steal my code to do those API calls, it's in the log files. I'll make it easy for people to copy my work. So, and even the GUI can be changed if you want to move things, move it around. You can change. There's an XAML file in there, and then you can change it around.
I found the podcast. It was December 15th, 2021. No, that can't be right. That date's wrong, but it's 585 where we talked about the APIs, right? So
yeah,
585 is maybe a year ago, or little less or more, right? Give or take. And that makes more sense. So podcast 585, the API conversation that we had where you're building stuff and what you're building. I personally like PowerShell. And I think for most of us who are scripters, right, we understand it. Do you publish a source of this guy? Well, it's PowerShell, right? So it's all readable.
The entire source is on GitHub. You can just download the XAML file, download the PS1, and you got the application.
Right. Yeah. Nice. So your blog, let's just talk of deploying golden images. Obviously, golden image, that's self-explanatory. Handling secondary images, settings, and log locations. Anything really interesting about this, or is it just basically what I'm looking at here? Right.
So the secondary image actually is something that was introduced at the end of 2021, I believe. So that was new functionality. So within the same desktop pool, you can have 2 golden images active. So one for testing purposes and with a few desktops, and you can change that around. It's just something that VMware added in there.
Yeah, right. That's just the secondary images that they've added to support. Yep, having a second image. Got it.
Yeah, and all the other options are standard in there. Something new is also the virtual TPM module for Windows 11.
When you're deploying this, how does it scale? Like, let's see.
I have one customer. They have like dozens of desktop pools, and they just click through it right now. I'm trying to make a multi-select, so you can select multiple desktop pools. Okay, you're all going to this image now.
What happens if it fails halfway through?
That's up to Horizon, because I literally do the same if you would use the admin console. I just have the API call do it for
You're just doing the calls. Yeah.
And then it can still fail with deployment. That's not something that I can fix.
Hey, you're just calling the call, and the call goes.
I'm just telling it, go do this, and
go to the call. Does PowerShell come back with it thinks the call was successful, or is it just it queued it up? and it called the
It
API, and
it depends on what you're doing. With some, it will come back, okay, this was a success. Other things, essentially, it's queuing it up. It's setting, okay, it's maybe starting in 1 second, but it's still scheduling. I did some things. It's if you see it, it requires PowerShell 7.3, and that's because within 7.3 there are some performance enhancements that are
Nice.
in there. So it's PowerShell 7.3, Horizon 2206. So that's around a year old, just under a year old, because that secondary image was the API call was introduced in 2206, for example.
So on your blog, do you have where to? Yeah, you have the GitHub. Your GitHub link is up at the top right hand corner, right? So if I were to come in and want to follow you and look at all the source changes, I click on that GitHub link. I go to your GitHub, and there is the first thing that I see. There is the golden image deployment tool.
There's also a link in the blog post directly. Yeah, follow that GitHub. I did a small fix, I believe Monday or something, because someone found an issue.
Got it. You got 8 other repositories there with your other various code elements, right?
Yeah, there are some other PowerShell examples, some Python stuff, and you're not even seeing half the repositories that I have, but most of them are not really used that much.
I think I have to log in to my GitHub account to be able to get the code. No, it says code.
No, you should be
I
able
can
to
download zip without. Yeah, don't even
download
need to log
the
in.
file,
Yep. Yeah.
and you're good. Absolutely.
Good to go. Right. And there is a direct link to that, right? That you can go to the Git file directly. Yeah. Interesting. But with that, download the zip file. There you go. I'm downloading it right now. I'll probably kill my browser. Like, make a mistake to do that, right? So when you bundle this up, what how much testing do you do on this stuff? Like, do you have like a little lab that you're testing on? Like, how do we
I have
trust
my
this?
lab here. It's not powered up right now, so but I got 2 Dell servers and then 2 Supermicros that I can power up if needed with a QNAP NAS in front, all connected with 10 Gbit, but it's all Control Up and Horizon running in there. I'm not doing NSX. I don't need NSX. I'm just doing those bare things. Yeah.
In the end, you're just passing these calls to Horizon. So all you got to do is just make sure that you don't have any bugs in your calls, right? Which is just an API call. But how many lines of code is this? I didn't look at see how much is actually here. I could go.
I can easily check it. I believe it's like
50 lines. Is it 100 lines? Is it 400 lines? Like, what are we?
I think it's like in the 2,385 lines.
2,000. Oh, that's
and
a lot.
That's excluding the XAML. That's excluding the XAML file, so that's another few hundred, probably.
Yeah. All right, so we got 2,000 lines of code. You started it in December. What is the bulk of the code doing? Because you would think you just call Horizon APIs to say, okay, go here, deploy, go deploy this.
So a good chunk is to be able to read that XAML file to build the GUI, because it's GUI-based, this tool. So quite a lot of code of that.
I was thinking it was a PowerShell.
No, it's
just go run this PowerShell script and away it goes and does something. I was gonna say, how do you pass in the arguments to your golden image and what machines you want to deploy it to or whatever, right? But you actually have a full GUI here.
It's a full GUI, and the reason for that is I talk to a lot of customers and they read my code for to deploy golden image. I have a sample script for that, but for them it's quite often difficult to really implement it because they don't understand all the pieces in there. And they still just want to have a GUI. And this brings, if you have multiple pods, usually you have multiple admin interfaces. And this brings all of it to one interface. It just makes it easier for them.
Right. It is nice. And, on your blog, you have pictures of the GUI, right? So it's like, that's why I said the blog is kind of short, but you got a lot of GUI screenshots in there. So it's obviously, nice button click. What interface did you use to make the GUI? Is there a PowerShell library set? Or does Microsoft give us something? What
it is the Windows presentation framework. WPF, and I used PowerShell Pro Tools by Ironman software to create the design. You can also do it in Visual Studio, for example, because it is a .NET functionality what I'm actually using, and it's
Okay.
built
Right.
in with There's no extra module needed for PowerShell.
That
Just
was my next question. They must have this built into the .NET framework, which you use for
Yep.
PowerShell.
Yeah, it's completely built in. There's nothing extra needed.
I see you have login capabilities, right? So username, domain name, login. What are you using to do that connection?
So it's the login is stored in an XML file. You can create with PowerShell. You can create a credential item, and you can export that to XML file. So XML file, sorry, and that's only readable by you on that computer where you created it.
Okay.
It might
Right.
still be hackable, but it's at least it's a bit.
Yeah, it's password. It's your credential authorized, right? So
Yeah.
if somebody's in on your machine, they can get at it. But yeah, you got bigger problems if somebody's in on your machine.
Then you have different challenges. If they have access to the machine, then they probably already have your password. Yeah, and a lot of the logic is about handling the just the buttons, putting out information. The logic, if I select this desktop pool, I can only use these desktop images, and then I get these snapshots that are available, and then all the configuration options. That's where a lot of the logic goes into.
Does it allow you to configure those rules? Do you have like a properties area or a GUI that allows me to set up where I want to deploy to, or what you
Yeah,
just
in the
rules, yeah?
GUI, once you are connected, you have a pull-down menu to select the desktop pool.
Okay.
And then you select the machine that's your new source. Then there's always a snapshot next one that you can select, and then all the options that
but you're not saving properties. You don't have a properties setting. You got configuration though, so you have a configuration tab.
What is saved is the credentials and the details for the connection servers to connect to. So if you save the credentials, it connects because with Horizon you have the cloud pod architecture. So that means you have two pods, but they communicate with each other for the details. And it saves the details for the connection servers in all of the pods in that cloud pod architecture. So you don't need to enter the server each time that you run the script. You do it the first time, and after that, it knows where to connect to.
When you do test credentials so that you can verify that you've got that right on the page. I'm looking at that now. So the blog post gives you the screenshot, so you can go take a look at that. Right?
Yeah, I'm probably going to it's now a blog post. At some point, I will probably transform it into a page, so that will become the manual.
Is there such a thing as a simulation where I can simulate going and deploying a golden image to see if it thinks it's got everything in the right space?
No, you would need to have a target to simulate it to. So that's
no simulation. So you can test your credentials. You can select the things. It's interesting. I built a GUI app like this back in the days when I used to do engineering and run make files, and engineers would want to come in and do things without having to run command line. And it is surprising how much work and code it requires just to build a GUI for what is basically a command line with 15 parameters, right? And then
absolutely
you
need to create a button, just lining things out, where to put the pull down menu with a button, and then a button checkbox. That box is a bit different in size than you have a pull down menu, and all the sizing. Actually, that's where a lot of time goes into. Some people would prefer to have more a list box for the desktop pool. Well, just lining everything out again is a lot of work.
Right. So one of the questions that's obvious for this when I'm using these type of tools is I always wonder, I wonder how long this tool is going to last, right? Like, yes, it works today because the date on it is, March 20th or whatever the date is. And so you go, okay, this is only 6 months old. It should still probably work. How long do you think the shelf life of this code base will be as a tool out there that people could use?
That, I guess, depends on VMware. If they change the APIs for Horizon completely around, then it might stop working. But it's using the REST API, so that's the newest version of the APIs, and those are not 100% feature complete. compared to the old SOAP APIs where you required PowerCLI.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of that, but in a sense, then from you building this thing, maybe you got to touch this once a year. Like if you're lucky here, or maybe every other year.
Depends if there's new functionality that I want to add. What VMware does is they don't remove the old API calls. They just add a version 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Some are
Right.
on version 6 right now. And I'm using version 5, but version 1 is also still available.
Yeah. So ideally they're not, sometimes they deprecate them and they give you warnings or whatever when those things happen, but you usually get a long enough time. So your expectation is you'll probably want to add some new capability to it before it gets bit rot.
I don't expect it to really get bit rotten unless Horizon gets completely turned around.
Right.
But then still people still using the current version would still be able to use it.
Yeah.
Because there are plenty of customers that are still on older versions anyway.
Right. I could see that. And I think that's one of the things as a community contributor that I always worry about when I get ready to release something is how long am I going to be around to be able to support this, or can I recruit somebody else to come support this? And that's the nice thing about GitHub is that, so somebody else can join the project. Somebody has to go get the source code and do a new version of it and talk to you and coordinate. And so if people find it really valuable, it's not like you've compiled a bunch of stuff that nobody can have source to, right? It's there. So somebody could do a new version themselves.
Yeah, there years ago there was the vcheck for vSphere that just gave you an HTML page or an email with the status of your vSphere environment. That was created by Alan Renouf like a decade ago. I don't know how long ago, probably longer ago. And right now people are talking about reviving it and making it compatible with vSphere 8.
I think I'm going to talk to Julia Klaus about this, but on VMTN, in the old days, I created a big admin site, right? And the whole thoughts around big admin for Sun Microsystems was just that we had all these people that wrote these things, and there was no one place that I could just go and see a list of all the cool things that were out there. So that's all we did for big admin is we made a page that was cool shell scripts or cool PowerShell. And it was just that. And technically we have sample exchange that if you wanted to put it up in a sample exchange, you could go there, except that you're not going to do that. And then I go like, where is a list of all these cool tools that I could go to and just see a list from Reuter and for William Lamb and the other people that have these nice, cool homemade tools out there that we could go, because it's kind of like it starts to become like a dark art to figure out where all this stuff is and what I should be using and which version for what. Right. So
it's becoming a matter of your Google view and knowing how to find what you need, because there are so many options. Even for some scripts, there are like 6 different copies with minor changes. Which is the one that you need?
Right. So I want to build back, because we just had the scripts page and it was literally 500 different links to different ones. And we kind of cleaned them up and made links to ones that were the newest ones. And right, you could have version 1, version 2, version 3, just have a links list of, kind of like, different sites that are out there that all they are is just link lists of stuff.
We should have ChatGPT for scripts. Hey, ChatGPT. It can create scripts for you. I know people who have created some awesome scripts using just ChatGPT or had it created. But it could also something like that. Okay, I want a script that does this. Oh, well, this is your option.
Yeah, like here's the ones that it would be good because then the work is even updating that page and keeping that. But even if you make a single page, you're stuck in time with the then you have to have somebody constantly looking for the new ones and getting people.
You have to keep updating it. You need to have the right tag so you can find it, because
which is just the problem that I talked about, which is when you start, you get these great ideas. You go, I'm going to do this, and then you write it, and then you have to figure out like, all right, I'm going to allocate one weekend a quarter, to that, or maybe it's one every 6 months, right? But you do have to figure out what you're going to allocate your time to. Otherwise, you've just made something. Now, how much do you do of this because people are picking up and using it? And how much are you doing it for your own personal hobby of just getting to write something? You challenge yourself to write it, or do you actually write it with the intent that this should be picked up by people because everybody's seeing this problem?
So this is the first one where I create complete tool. In the past I always blogged and I had short snippets of code that people could use for their own implementations.
Right.
I
Okay.
moved to creating scripts that would be fully functional. And now I moved to, but I don't want to maintain 10 of these tools because that's
Right.
just impossible. I was looking for something where I really felt like this is what people will appreciate and will use. I will, it's not worth the effort if you create something and you know it's no one's
Right.
going to use it.
Right. Right. So this is the a big step forward for you, and it
Absolutely.
is the one. It is the one, and maybe you'll do two, but this is Wouter's going to be known for the Horizon Golden Image Deployment Tool.
If I see the views at my blog, they have kind of exploded since last week. So
Right. Right. Yeah, there have been a couple tools like this that people have written that are now very popular, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
a lot of tools that were community tools have
right.
become links at some point because they were written by VMware employees and now are in product.
Yeah. It is true. Then, but the one thing I'd say, advise you is don't try to sell it on VMTN. like every once in a while, we get a community member that gets this really popular thing. They put it on VMTN, and then they say, "Okay, go over here to buy it now." Right? So it's like
No, I don't.
it's
I
the
had someone.
natural
I
progression.
had someone asking, "Can I donate something for this somewhere?" I was like, "Please don't. If you want to donate something because I made this, do it to Girls in Tech or Make a
Yeah,
Wish. Or
yeah.
don't do it to me. I don't need that. This is my
Right.
hobby. I don't want that. Just give it to a good cause."
Yeah. That's the right way to approach that, because otherwise it just gets complicated. And I tell people that, do you know how many, a buddy of mine went and created a toy store, right? He's like, oh, I want to do a toy store. And I'm like, do you know how many toys you have to sell to make rent? Right? You're selling a $19 toy and you're only making $9 a toy. Do you know how many toys you need to make your $250,000 that you make as a IT professional out in the real world? Right? Like, it is not worth it, right? Do not try to make money at this stuff, because in the end, it just gets in the way of you making your big money, right? And but it does help the community, and it's a fun hobby, and it's something cool to do. And so I give
Yep.
you credit for building one, right? And getting that out. So yeah, my take is then you're probably not thinking about any new tool. Do you have any other thoughts around what you might do to make this tool better?
So there are some things about multiple pools at the same time, maybe some more information in the GUI itself, some text boxes or things like that. Right now, the first idea was to have something with the first idea of the VMware Virtual EC Day, which was like a month ago. And at the first, I was happy if I would have had just some functionality, and I almost had it finished by then. So it went faster than I thought. But yeah, there are some things like a list of connection servers in case you don't have a cloud pod, multiple desktop pools at the same time. But the basic functionality that you can do with deploying a golden image is there.
Right. Yeah. Nice. Community session at VMworld?
Oh, definitely.
Definitely. Yeah.
You just need to get me to Vegas because I need to discuss that with my boss. So.
Yeah. Like, we probably can get you a pass. I don't know if I can manage to get you. I heard there's some airlines now are doing like $99 directs, right, from Europe now. Like, it's I don't know how you get to the destination, but my wife was telling me, like, oh my god, there's a new airline now. It's literally $99 to Europe one way, right? And I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. By the time you get if you could get to the I don't know where they fly, right? It's probably a destination like London or whatever.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. But if you could get to the destination, then you go to the Excalibur, which has the cheapest rooms at Excalibur, actually $22, right? But then they have the fee,
$5 resort fee.
yeah, they have a resort fee of like $25. So the resort fee is more than the room. But still,
when VMworld was in Vegas and in Mandalay, I was at the Excalibur in 2016 and 2018, so I know it.
Yeah, I know it well, and I didn't make the team stay there, but I offered it to the team because you can walk from the Excalibur. It wasn't too bad to get over to the Aria or wherever we had it one year, and it was like, or I think this was AWS reInvent, but I stayed in the Excalibur. I walked every morning. It was like a nice 25-minute
Just
walk.
make sure you're not on the ground floor.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Don't go Excalibur ground floor. So
I had
okay.
that last
So
time. That didn't end up well.
no, it gets pretty noisy. Even on the upper floors, it gets some rowdy people, right? That are,
Not even that. There was something with the toilet and overflowing and things like that. So
no. Yeah, no, I've never experienced that. There are drunk, rowdy people that are up,
yeah,
it's Vegas and you're in the Excalibur at $22 a night. It's like you get very drunk party guy, somebody in his frat brothers, they all go and rent a room and, it's $22 a night. So they're all paying in and then nobody's sleeping during the sleep hours, right? But other than that, it's fine. It's great.
This year it will be a bit further away because it's in the Venetian, the Explorer, of course. So
yeah, I don't know where that is in relation to Excalibur. I'm gonna have to go Google it, right? Because yeah, there you go. Question then, get you a V Brown Bag session on on your tool, the Horizon Golden Image tool, on Wouter.nl for Netherlands, backwards. So RETOUW.nl. Go check that one out. Come do a V Brown Bag session on it. If nothing else, do you get to go to Barcelona, or is it just as hard to go to Barcelona?
Well, if you can get a ticket, I will be definitely there. Otherwise, I was there last year. I will try through my employer. But probably will make it, but especially if I have a session, they will just have to do it right. So
yeah. So we'll get that. We talked about what you might need to do next on the tool. Any other brilliant ideas you're thinking about from a standpoint of what you might hack on next?
I don't have that many tech ideas right now. I'm going to add Bowser back here. I bought the Lego Bowser. It's like 2,800 pieces, so that will cost me some time. So next time it will be updated again.
Nice.
But
Yeah,
tech-wise, I will stick to the Horizon stuff. I updated everything to the latest versions already, feature 8 on everything. I'm not sure what I need to add there right now.
No, you know what? I do see the skylight in the back on the left. I think it may. Did you put trim around it now? I don't know. In your studio.
Yeah, so this is against mosquitoes, a mosquito thing that I can.
Oh, you put a mosquito. What I want to do, because I have one, and the reason it's so light in my office is that I need like the blinds that you can put in the skylight. I'm gonna go buy like a blind so that I can pull it down so that I can have dark in my office, so that I can then have lights that add color to the background. But
I have a blind here as well. During daytime, I quite often need it because the sun is straight on this. So.
Right, I don't have a blind on mine, so I'm always in this bright environment. The other thing I've got, just on this topic, as long as we're here, is I've got one of these Dell 35-inch curved monitors. It's pretty big, right? But if I'm not in dark mode, or I just have white, like the browser is white, it's so much light coming off the display now that I can't be dark if I wanted to, because I'm lit up like a candle just from all of the and maybe I need to go dark mode or somehow get dark mode.
If you just look at the webcam and me now moving away my white screen, it makes such a big difference.
Right. You have the same glow problem as all the rest of us, and so
and then I do have a key light here, so for some lighting in right in my face, but it's not that bright right now.
Right. Yeah. So that's on my list of things to fix. Right. Is to maybe do a studio. I keep saying I'm going to do it, but then I never get around to that. What's coming up for me is we have the VMware Code Labs, the hackathon. I'm trying to figure out, like, okay, what are we going to hack on this year? Bill Roth, who usually helps me with sensors and stuff, he's resigned, but he's left VMware, but he's going to stay a CodeCoach. So we'll still have him around to do kind of some lab stuff. So trying to dream up what to do there.
Yeah, it would be fun again. I was in Vegas. I was a team lead actually in Vegas one year. And I was one in Barcelona when we had a hackathon, and it is so much. I cannot recommend it enough to put in the hackathon
Yeah.
to join that and to have fun there. The first time my tech was failing me, so I didn't get that much done, but it was so much fun just to be there and
Yeah,
talk
just to
people.
be with a bunch of automation people that are
Yep.
using PowerShell, right, and
Yep.
doing that. And that's what I did. I wrote up a fund me justification and to pick up enough money to go, because we do have to rent the rooms. We have to get the space, right? And nowadays, you know what they charge? We're running a CTAB meeting on VMware campus. If you've ever been to the Elastic Sky conference room, it's not that big. It supports like 100 people on campus. Many of the VMware leaders have been, and many of you know Elastic Sky on campus. So we're doing a CTAB, which is a customer technical advisory board. That group reports to me now. They want $19,000 to rent the
Wow.
on-campus room for 4 days, right? Like it's like $19,000 to get a room that used to be free, right? And I'm like,
And I hope it includes some pretty decent food, but it probably doesn't.
no, that's just for the room. Then there's and we're trying to figure out why this is, why everything's so expensive, or what's going on, because things are just ridiculous now. Like, and I'm a guy that runs on $35 a day from, the Excalibur kind of thing. That's what I'm used to. That's my pain level of spending money. And they want $19,000 for a single room that's on campus we used to use for free, right? What's happened is because of COVID, they let go of all the campus staff, right? They don't have
they have to hire people specifically
for your event. They have to hire a team of people to, keep the lights on and keep the room vacuumed and take out the trash and make the projector work and put a new bulb and things. So they're like, okay, to rent any room now on campus, because campus is kind of in slow mode, right, or barely operating mode, you actually have to pay money, and then they hire outside vendors to come in to turn the lights on, right, and vacuum.
And if they don't have those vendors, the money should go to Rosie. So to the turtle.
Right. Any new so all right, we've got try to get you to VMware Explorer. Anything you see from a customer perspective with regards to in your day job, not talking about the Horizon Gold Image tool, but any words of wisdom or trends that you're seeing from your customer base? We had a good quarter in Q4. People are picking up cloud and multi-cloud. Any thoughts or pieces of wisdom for people that have managed to listen to us this long?
Yeah, I'm mainly on the EUC side anyway, so I see a lot going on with going to physical or virtual or whatever, and just make sure that you manage it properly. With cloud-wise, I do see I see customers going to the cloud. It's too expensive for going back again.
Yeah, come back, right? Yeah, I've seen that. I definitely seen that. I start looking at our bills and go like, wait, how much does a server actually cost in Iraq? It comes back down to the $17,000 for a room, right? So all of a sudden, when you're out in the cloud, you're at the whim of them deciding what they want to charge next year. This year looks great, everything's good, but then next year something changes, and the new bill is Z, and you're like, wait, I was paying $35 a room before. What do you? They think because we have VMware next to our title, they think that we're made of money, right? Because we're a big company, right? So there is that in the desktop world. Are people still? What's happening in the desktop world? Do you see any trends there? People still just buying desktops? Are they using virtual desktop, devices?
It can go all sides. It's really going all sides. Relating to cost, I did see an article the other day that there was a company that saved 400 million over 3 years by having everything on-prem.
No kidding. Yeah, they just said, fine, we're just going to bring it back on-prem and run it local.
Yeah, and it saved them it was in Singapore, I believe, and it's probably a very specific use case.
Right.
And I'm not sure if they compared it to the cheapest regions, things like that. But that was insane. It's like, yeah, we're just doing everything on-prem. It's so much cheaper.
Yeah, I gotta say, if you can manage the security risks of the whole thing, for me, the hardware has become so cheap now and so powerful that you can get a lot of horsepower in a pretty small footprint. Even power consumption in a small footprint. You know, if you can keep it cool and you can keep it secure, man, you can run a lot of compute power for little money compared to what it's going to cost me over in a SaaS service
Absolutely.
environment. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so much of a difference. Oh yeah, there. Graham posted the link to it. Singapore software maker says own hardware in colo costs 400 million less than cloud.
Yeah.
It's on the talk show. There's a link there. I'll put it here in our chat as well, so you can see it.
Yeah.
It's just insane. But
It
yeah,
should.
I'm curious what the rest of all the Chat GPT. You know, there was a version 4 coming, and Bing now also has their own tool for it and everything. How that's going? What that's going to change for us?
I think that's overrated. That's my opinion. Like the whole AI chat GPT, it's nice. Okay. Uh, it's a cool parlor trick, right? And if you want generic answers to things, then that's great, right? I'll give you an example. Yesterday we were talking because it was Pi Day, 3.14, March 14th, and so we were talking about pies. And in Denmark, they don't put pie with ice cream. Denmark, they put it in a bowl with milk, right? Or that's a common thing. And my grandmother used to tell me they had a name for it. Right, they have a name for pie with milk. It's not a la mode, that's pie with ice cream, but there's actually a name for eating your Danish pastry in a bowl with milk. In the end, go try to find that. I'm like, oh, let's go try Chat GPT and see if like they can figure out, like what a name for that would be, right? And it did okay, but in the end, when it's a serious piece of knowledge you need, yeah, maybe it write codes, maybe it can write scripts, maybe it can build page. In the end, I haven't seen it where I had a very specific thing I want to know. The Chat GPT one. Oh yeah, here, Eric, this is what it is. No,
I'm just too proud to use it. I'm like, I can find it my own.
Right. Well, that too. But or do you trust it, or are you getting an answer that 1 million other people got? So now we're all going to be this homogeneous brain because nobody does anything on their own anymore and goes and gets custom answers, right? So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's challenging, indeed,
right.
but it's
And
fun. It's useful for things, I guess. But
it can only figure out what other people have already figured out.
no fact.
Right. So okay, not really.
I saw one of the vExperts who had the Bing version, and then was like, "Yeah, but the Chat GPT answer was better or something." And then the Bing AI said, "Well, I'm stopping this conversation right now. We're ending this."
I do like that. I used Chat GPT to ask who I was, right? And it couldn't figure it out, right? But then when I put VMware, I think I said Eric Nielsen VMware, it still didn't get it. But then when I said community podcast, then it got really smart and it apologized for not finding me earlier. Right? I'm like, wow,
Cool.
that's really great. Wow, I'm impressed by that. Yep.
I've seen some poems created by it. There's all kind of fun stuff that
Right.
people are doing with it.
And if you're in college and you need a quick essay, right? And
Yep.
yeah, sure, okay. Yeah,
Even cover letters for job interviews, stuff like that.
yeah. Some of the coding things, obviously, there are common coding. That's why we build scripts and we publish them because they're common things. So, if it can harvest that and then go write smart code based on, what code snippets it can find through GitHub or whatever, then that could be interesting. So we see some use cases there. From a desktop perspective, yeah, I guess it's all over the map. I still got people complaining to me that I bought an M2 and I still can't run x86 workloads on it. Right? I'm like, yep, you can't. Fusion will run on M2s, but it runs the ARM version of Windows. So that means that you're not going to run all your little favorite x86. They have an x86 emulator on it. So if you install Windows 11 ARM and you get that all up and running. Now you got Windows. You can then get the application emulator, and you can emulate some apps to run. Your x86 apps can run, but you're not going to take a VMDK and boot it up in Fusion if that is a x86 Windows version. Not gonna happen.
I'm seeing more people, also some vExperts that actually run ARM laptops. So Windows-based ARM laptops, so the Samsung and it seems to work, but sometimes drivers get an issue, things like that.
Right.
Or the software
It's
just
still
doesn't
early in the day. I'm actually still pulling for Pat Gelsinger and x86, so
I'm also more on that, but it's a better attempt right now with this version than the Windows RT version that they had.
Yeah, for sure. And once Windows is out there long enough and they're, the apps get ported over, then it should be pretty parity, right?
It runs so you can also run x86 applications in there, just drivers that haven't been created for ARM yet. So there's the challenge.
Yeah, there you go.
But
Well,
even
we're at the top of the hour.
On the Mac,
What?
you don't know if you're running x86 or a Mac version of software. You have to go in the system tool, and there's plenty of stuff still running x86.
Yes, I have several of those on my. I just have an M1, and several of these things are things that just run in emulation mode. That would, x86. You would have no idea. Yeah. We're at the top of the hour. Wouter, it's Wouter Kursten. Great to see you're here. V Barbecue report at the end. Tony Foster is out. We managed to make our TalkShoe audio work today, so maybe Tony has a fun barbecue story. Wouter, I'll ask you first. Any favorite barbecue in the Netherlands?
No, I'm just whatever meat I can get, I throw on the grill. I'm not a fancy barbecue person.
Yeah, there you go. Tony, Mr. Wonder Nerd, Tony Foster, anything interesting?
Anything interesting? I haven't done anything interesting. It's just been steaks recently, so I haven't. Yeah, I need to get outside my comfort zone again and do something crazy.
We did a hot pot, right? Which is, I don't know if it's Korean. I don't know who does what Asian country does hot pot, but we do hot pot, which is you get a steaming boil of water and then you put sauce in it, and then you take your meat and you freeze it. So we get a pound of steak or a couple pounds of steak, couple pounds of chicken. We freeze it, pull it out of the freezer, and you take a super sharp knife and you can shave the frozen meat into really thin slices, and then you use chopsticks, put that in your hot pot with your seasoning and your rice and other herbs and things like that, and it's actually pretty good. It turns out nice. So you can make your own hot pot as opposed to going to an Asian store and buying it pre-cut. You can freeze your meat, pull it out of the freezer, let it kind of defrost for like an hour, and it's still pretty frozen, and then you can shave it into super thin, paper thin slices, and then put them in hot pot water with seasoning, and you've got yourself some Korean hot pot. I'll say Korean, but I don't know what country actually does hot pot. I can Google it really fast, but it's pretty good. So, and we did that the last couple days. Hot pot. What nation? What nationality?
I think you might be right. It's hot pot.
Yeah, I think it says it's Chinese, so it is Chinese. Is hot pot Korean or Chinese? The answer is, while some say it's Korean invention, records show that it started in China. So okay, a little bit both right on that one. So yeah, we've been doing some hot pot, pretty good, fun to do. The key is to freeze your meats and then use a really sharp Henkel knife or one of the other good ones and carve it up into pieces, and away you go. With that, we're at the top of the hour. Wouter, thanks a lot. Julia Klaus, thanks for live streaming us today. Tony Foster, Graham, thanks for being online, saying hello. And we will try to be back again next week as always. Thanks a lot, Wouter.
Thank you.